You're recording?
We are live.
We're live.
Welcome, everyone. So we are about 4 to 5 minutes away from the official start time for the webinar, but we decided to kick it off live a little bit. And we've got Chris Walker and Jason E. Smith, who are going to bring us through today's presentation. They're both coming to us from Atlanta. I think that's where everybody's at today. So, or that area, Georgia, we'll say. But how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Done good. Nice and breezy and not too hot in Georgia today.
It's cold off here. That top temperature is the outside.
Ooh.
So it's pleasant here right now.
It's funny. I was showing some Stratusphere data, the CPU temperature, demoing that for a customer. I drilled it on my machine, and you could actually tell. Like right now, I'm sitting on my deck. The other day it was really hot, so I came from inside where it's 68 degrees outside to where it was 85. And you could actually see in the CPU temperature of my computer when I moved outside. So it's like, oh, I had a heat spike there. Need to keep an eye on that.
That's neat.
Yep. So my Wi-Fi signal strength went, got worse. So need to put another extender in.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about that. For the people that we have on, we do these Liquidware unplugged sessions, and this morning we were going to do a more formal session of this what's new, and it will be. But I was like, I like the unplugged format so much. Why don't we just go ahead and go live and chat a little bit? So that's what you're seeing. We'll get started in a couple minutes. Well, Chris, do you have a mesh network?
I do not. My signal strength is pretty good. That's a AT&T U-verse router, and actually has two different radios. So it's got one for 2.4 and one for 5 gigahertz. And I mean, it's in the basement, and all the way at the top of my house still have a really good signal.
On 2.4.
Yeah, on 2.4. Yeah, because like I drilled into Barry over in the UK the other day, and he's switching from 2.4 to 5 gigahertz back and forth all the time. I mean, it's messing with his network bad. So I turned off 5
goes
gigahertz.
through walls better,
Yeah, I turned off 5 gigahertz in my house. Makes it more reliable.
Yeah, I've looked at getting a mesh network, but my router is an ASUS. And it's in the center of my house, and it's a ranch floor plan, and I'm in the basement, and I've got coverage all but one little bitty spot in the guest bedroom, which is actually my daughter's bedroom. We're used to calling it that, but she's at college right now, so it's sort of the guest bedroom again. I was like, I don't know if I want to lay out all that just for one tiny spot, but it covers everything else, including the backyard with 2.4.
Oh, yeah. So, everybody talks about how my slow internet access, so I've ordered Starlink to try and get that.
I'm anxious to see how that goes for you.
I logged into the site last night, and because it's supposed to show up in June or July, and it's now saying late 2021. Crap.
Oh.
So they pushed me out. The chip shortage or whatever.
I came real close to doing the same thing because Comcast just, they just jack. Well, you don't know. They just jack up your prices whenever they feel like, and after a year, just like, so my bill went from $110 to $180 in a month.
Wow.
And like that's the new bill, no warning, And I wasn't under a contract or anything, but that's what had me looking around. So I was like, Starlink for $100 a month sounds pretty good to me at this point, but I called them and they got me into 150, and I still don't like that. But I said no contract because I'm ready to go to Starlink. If I can, I don't even know if I can have so many trees. You've got to have a wide open, like a really wide open skyline, don't you?
Just basically like Tom said, his friend, they had to point it to the north. I'm assuming down here in the south, we'll point it more straight up or to the south. But there's an app. There's actually an app.
Yeah, it shows you like the shadow, like it can't be here, something's got to be wide open. If you get down below it, I think the shadow means that's not line of sight, so you got to get it above. And
well, just call me. I got a chainsaw. We can take down any trees we need to. Just call me.
Where were you 6 months ago? 6 months and $3,000 ago.
Yeah, I got a chainsaw. We'll travel.
I got plenty of trees. Well, we're close to that spot, Ray. If you want to
Sure. So before we give it to these guys and let them kick off the official presentation, just a bit of housekeeping for all of you. If you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the question and comment window. I see that even during this early talk, John said that Starlink, at least I'm assuming this is a Starlink comment, he said really slow. So that's a great way to interact with our panelists and go from there and give comments, feedback, ask questions. We'll do our best to get our questions all done today. I know we've got a tight window today to fit this in where we're scheduled, so I don't know that we're going to be going overtime today, but we'll follow up with anyone. We are recording the session, so if you keep an eye in your inbox in the day or so following the event, we'll make sure everybody gets a link to this, whether you want it for review or if you want to share it with a colleague. We'll also put it up on our webinar archive for everyone out there to see. So really, that's what it is. Without much ado, we're going to go over to hand things off to Jason Smith and Chris Walker, who's going to take us through today's presentation and teach us a little bit about what's new in Liquidware Essentials.
Thanks.
Jason?
Yeah, thanks, Ray. Yeah, if you like that format of the chit chat, that's why you ought to jump on one of our unplugged sessions, because that's all we do. We don't have PowerPoints unless we want to say, hey, I got something to back that up, and share a screen. It's a really fun format. So look at our calendar and you'll see some coming soon that you can join. That's what it means by unplugged. All right, so this one today's formal though. A reminder about our Adaptive Workspace Management suite. And I want to point something out on this slide too, is that we're going to be shifting that term to digital workspace management. So you'll see that in some of our materials in about a month. That's all you'll see. Digital workspace management. Digital user experience has become quite the buzzword for Stratusphere, and digital management is a great buzzword that analysts are latching onto for user environment management. So you'll see us evolve that. That's the space we're in, but we still help desktops and we help organizations adapt to their new desktop, no matter what they've chosen, whether that's going from one platform to the next, or one type of to the next, or from physical to virtual, or kicking the tires even for a specific department and saying, is it going to work out here? Once you have users under management with our entire suite, right? The message is, and the feature benefits is that you can more easily flip the switch, especially in the back office technologies like VMware, Citrix, and others, and light up another way to deliver Windows. And then if you're hitting the same AD infrastructure, and even if you're not, Chris has done this for others that are switching from one Active Directory infrastructure to another, we can help you through that too. But if you're on the same AD infrastructure, you'll hit the same things that make our suite work, whether it's monitoring or whether it's making the profile stick or whether it's grabbing applications. And as soon as they log on to that next desktop, it's very familiar because their persona comes in, the user profile, and the things that aren't even the user profile but should be, like the preferences they've made into areas outside of the user space, those start to matter. And in the group policy type preferences, we automate those and we make them all context aware, and that's ProfileUnity. As I stated, application layering, attach applications, they're not really installed or even on the endpoint. There's an exception to that we'll talk about today, but they are attached from a VHD or VHDX, and a little filter driver makes them look as if they are installed. Your base image stays so clean, you don't suffer from Windows rot because in uninstall, install. So even if it's a physical desktop, and that's the new thing, we'll talk about a new feature coming called FlexApp One. If you haven't heard of it, we told some select members in our community about it. Now we're ready to tell our customer base about it. You'll see that in some screens today, more details about it. And then the monitoring diagnostics. Obviously, Stratusphere can help assess for your new desktops, even if that's what you're doing now or what you plan to do as you're getting a cyclical nature and do it again later. But the user experience part of that lets you know it's monitoring and diagnostics that goes deep and lets you drill down. So I always level set our presentations with this slide, and we work across any way you deliver Windows, virtual, cloud, and physical, because there may be some new people on here and they don't know exactly what we do, or maybe you only own one part of our suite. And keep in mind, you'll get discounts for the other two parts if you opt in for that. And just publicly saying, about 60% of the time, our customers realize that the entire suite is beneficial on a cost basis and feature basis to come from Liquidware. All right, what's new? We do these every 6 months. So last time we did one was in December. And of course, we also keep in mind keep in mind during that cycle, if there's a new product release, you'll see that from us. But formalities is what we're about with the what's new presentations. We do one in December and we do one mid-year. So this is the mid-year one, and we'll talk about what's new in the last 2 or 3 releases across the board. I spoke to this slide more or less on the previous slide. Every phase of your desktop transformation and any way you deliver Windows, we're a good fit for. We'll start with ProfileUnity. This is a look at the most latest interface for ProfileUnity. It hasn't changed a lot right here on the front interface. I'll show you how it has changed once you click down on any of these icons. So as a reminder, on these things, I circle the things that are like the most common used features. Making a profile stick. That is our profile portability settings. It's literally 33 rule sets that pick up parts of the profile and parts of the registry. It's not just riding on the coattails of roaming profiles. It's separate and aside. We pick and choose the parts that matter. And that's why it's different than roaming profiles. And that's why it doesn't have the type of corruption roaming profiles has. When a user logs off, we're backing up essentially 33 areas in this configuration. Could be more for yours because you can write rule sets and say, also pick up anything down to system root or system drive and treat it like part of the profile. We're saving it to a file share or a cloud storage device. Could be blob storage too, not even a file share. And then we're restoring it at the next logon, no matter what version of Windows that is. Windows 7 and forward, anything Microsoft supports, which is 7 and forward. The user could log off one, log on to the next, and their profile right at the beginning of their session is chased down, and the parts that work. And that's the majority of the profile because we will put them into the areas of Windows where they do, and they are recognized, all right? So that's what gives you that seamless across from desktop to desktop. That's portability. We also have a profile disk, right? So you can use FS Logics to make a profile stick to a disk because most of you have licenses of that. But keep in mind that and our own profile disk is a native Microsoft profile on the network. That's exactly what it is. So you can get profile corruption, you can get bloat, you can be very limited about what you can include if you don't also have portability. So when you run ProfileUnity together with a profile disk, you get best of both worlds. A profile loads very fast because it's from disk. FS Logics are our own profile disk. Portability comes in and says, these are the few things that changed. Not all 33, but maybe only 3 things changed. So it's still a lightning fast profile, and then delta differentials of what changed in that profile come down. And the portability is what provides you ongoing backup. So your profile becomes corrupt from our profile disk because it relies on Windows native profiles, and the ntuser.dat file or from FS Logics becomes corrupt because that's what happens to Microsoft profiles. Portability automatically restores that at the login. So it can be set to do that automatically without even a call to the help desk. So keep that in mind. Huge difference from just a disk. Goes across OSs. FS Logics doesn't do that. Our profile disk doesn't do that, but portability does and remediates that every single time. So huge difference. Desktop transformation is what we're about. And then a lot of things in here are related to over and above group policy preferences, mapping drives, mapping printers. But then if you look over on the left side, you see filter management, context-aware filter management. That assigns that attribute for a department or a location or a time of day, things you can't do with group policy preferences. Very well organized, can't do that with group policy preferences. There's a role-based admin access tab that logs everything every admin user did for an enterprise. You can go in there and you can audit it. Can't do that with group policy preferences. So there's a lot of things that we go well beyond that. We also run at a HKLM level, not user level, right? We can do user level things, but HKLM, and look at the registry one that I've circled here, that gives you great power over and above Microsoft free tools, right? Because now you can assign keys to secure that desktop. Let's disable USB by rolling out this key to these desktops. They can't save USB anymore. Let's lock down these desktops. They can't even change or look at control panels. And so you can do a lot of things. And we've got a, you can look for this on our support page. We've got a configuration that'll help you lock down a desktop with those HKLM keys that I'm talking about. We've literally chased down the main keys that lock down a desktop. You can import that, and you can run that configuration in addition to a ProfileUnity configuration, and it can be assigned on a departmental basis as well. So all those things more powerful than free tools, right? Trigger points, another one that goes well beyond free tools. And now a trigger point says, most of this happens at log on or log off, or what we do, but a trigger point monitors things during the user session. Application open, application close. So now if you want to get around last write wins even better to the most finite way that you can, say anytime I close winword.exe, let's save the user profile in the background. It's saved, okay? So that gets around a lot of last write wins things, and you can't do that with group policy preferences. You can't do that with roaming profiles. So advanced features are what we're about. Two last things I'll talk about on here are the first two things circled in the feature sets: privilege elevation and application restrictions. The most secure way to keep your desktops is to let users be only standard users. And if they need admin rights, elevate them only on context-aware filters. The accounting department can run this app in admin mode. You can do that. All right, that's a use case for that. And that was just an example. Application restriction says things in the base image, I don't want everyone to run them. Just the HR department can run that app, for example. So there's a lot of powerful things in there. Chris, looks like you want to say something.
Oh, no, I'm good. I'm just agreeing with you. Yeah.
And
watch how animated you are. Watch how animated you are.
Like that. You don't see that when we don't turn on our cameras, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It also helps me get steps.
Nice. Good. Love that. I got to get me one. I don't want to track that.
My
wife said, how do you get so many steps today? I did webinars. So. It's starting to feel more and more like an unplugged, right? Let's talk about what's new. In December of 2020, and this is what's new lately, because maybe you're attending today because you're like, I've got ProfileUnity and FlexApp, but what good is it? Quite honestly, like, I'm going to remind you how good it is, because we're going to talk about what functionality and features we've added lately. December of last year, we added multi-session VHDs. That gives our profile disk the ability to support multi-session windows and log on, log off, and be able to have multiple VHDs that can then sync between each other. For multi-user OS environments, it has big benefits, and even for VDI, multiple logins, like if you've logged into different places, and it will sync and remediate things between different profile disks, VHDs. The portability and multi-session profile disk templates makes things easier to set up when you're rolling out our profile disk, and it is ease of use feature. We've enhanced, and you'll see a screenshot of this in a bit, portability rule management, and so now you can see filters in there. You don't have to like double click back to get to filters. You can hover over and see what a filter is behind it without going through things like that. And then we enhanced UI views in other areas as well. We always have bug fixes and keep up with our security mandates and anything that we have realized have evolved. So that was in 6.8.4. All right, so Chris, go ahead.
Yep. Actually, 6.8.4, there's been several hot fixes that have been applied and are listed on our website. Some of them have some really nice performance enhancements around filtering and things like that. So please check out the support sites and our hot fixes. Even for the existing 6.8.4 that came out in December, there's some really nice hot fixes that we put in the product. Some of them have dropped, login times down 5-10 seconds just because of the way we parse and filter. So definitely check out our support site and follow the support site for those hot fixes.
Yep, good point. And if you're make sure you're getting we send out those in email alerts to customer bases when they're available, to our customer base when it's available. So make sure you're getting those and they're not getting caught in your spam engine or anything. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about futures, and then I'm going to go back to some of these screenshots. Futures, because it's so near-term futures. Next month, we plan to offer package automation for FlexApp. So today, when you package up apps, you usually have one packaging console. You could have multiple, and people manually downloading, the executable or the binaries, and they open it up and they click next, finish. And while it's easy, it can be time consuming because somebody has to sit there and install software is what they're doing and let it capture to the VHD. Now let me just compare that just briefly to Citrix app layering, which is good and they do, but I think they do way too much in OS layer and a bunch of other things. We focus on apps only. And when you package something with Citrix App Layer, and you're talking about an additional 30-minute process on top of installing an app. So ours is good and really, really fast. That's where you hear say fast packaging, because it's faster than the competition, but head and shoulders above. What package automation introduces is that now you can have a list of binaries, and this is great for an enterprise, someone that's got dozens or hundreds of applications. Like if you're still doing up to 20, 25 apps, might not be a big benefit in looking at our automation that's coming. But if you've got dozens or hundreds of applications and you want to get started, you can literally point FlexApp to a list of binaries and have it now run through the binaries. And just like you do with SCCM with silent install switches that you get from vendors, there's a place to plug that in. So when it starts to install it, the silent switches are in there and they're all synced up. Those people that deliver applications or application delivery admins know exactly what I'm talking about. So you point to the binaries, you put in your silent switches, and you go home for the weekend. You come back on a Monday morning, for example, and you may have 40, 50, 60, 70 apps already packaged, and then you just test them and you're good to roll out. Here in the architecture, what we're looking at is you can set up multiple machines to do this. So they can be packaging all these things at the same time. And we've got new technology that we've put in here, keeping these machines clean and essentially giving them the ability to be snapshotted back to a clean instance in between. All this starts in an automated fashion and packages up, saves them to your file share. On that Monday morning or whatever that next day is that you look at, you go to the ProfileUnity console for Flex apps, and you'll see, oh my gosh, I've got 70 apps in here that were already packaged. That's package automation, and that will be available planned next month.
Jason, I actually talked to a customer who's a large university here in the Southeast, and he had 24,000 applications. So he's currently pulling these down from Chocolate, which we got some engineers. Jack Smith has already done a lot of PowerShell integration, so you can pull from Chocolate, automate that entire process, push it right into our configuration. So, huge applications list is where the automation would come in handy. But a customer mentioned something to me yesterday that was really powerful. He said, the biggest problem I got with FlexApp is my users, my packaging guys, they don't do it consistently. Mm-hmm. So they'll give me a package, it's dirty, they didn't do it right, didn't do the silent installs. The automation will completely eliminate that. So just purely from a consistency standpoint, it's not a user logging in, oh, hey, did you read the document? Did you click this button? It's all done consistent. So he said the biggest value, he said, look, I've got 150 applications that I need to do, but this is going to free up my engineers' time and give me consistency. Yep. That was huge. That was huge.
It is big. As a side note, side reminder here, Stratusphere can be used to look, if you're doing these big desktop transformations, we can see what applications are installed and what applications are actually being used. So just because you have hundreds of applications, right? You want to make sure they've actually been used in the last few months before you go do anything to deliver. That's how all this stuff works hand in hand. And if you want to know more about that, or Chris can elaborate on it, especially on the Stratusphere side when we get to that. This big innovation has happened here for FlexApp One. All right. People have asked us over the years, can I distribute FlexApp packages separate and aside from ProfileUnity? And that's question number one. Can I use SCCM? Can I use Intune? Microsoft Endpoint Manager is what that's now called. The answer has always been, to date, no, you need to use the ProfileUnity management console, and you're going to find advanced features in there for context-aware filters, blah, 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 blah. But a lot of people still want to do those methods. The second question we get is, can I use FlexApp packages offline? What about laptops? What about people in the field, right? The answer until now, except in a couple of cases where we worked it out with customers and we're testing, has been no. It's a connected, always online use case. FlexApp One changes the game. This is targeted for next month as well. And what we're looking at here is that FlexApp One is a FlexApp package on one file. It's a FlexApp layer. It's a FlexApp layer. You could actually have multiple packages in here. But for simplicity's sake, you keep in applications one-to-one. So for Photoshop or whatever, it's one package. And you can make this available in the ways that I just said, using Microsoft technologies, distributed by SCCM, Intune, which is Microsoft Endpoint Manager. You can put them on a file share. You can put them on a USB stick. You're sitting there thinking about a bunch of ways you could do this, probably in addition to this, Dropbox, OneDrive, anything like that, and say, here's your applications, and launch them if you want to. And what happens is you get that package, very easy. You'll see screenshots of this in a second. You get it down to the endpoint, just save this file down and click on it like you're installing something. That's where the magic happens. It doesn't really install. It actually, if that machine never had anything Liquidware on it at all, it'll put the service on that machine, not a heavy agent, and it will activate that app, and you can be running it offline. Okay, these need to be well-managed PCs and laptops. We are not going to be supporting machines that are suffering from Windows rot, for example, and have been around for a few years. They need to be, and well-managed is the way to go these days. I'm sure security parameters at your own organization have locked down machines tighter than ever, so we don't see that as a limiting factor. We see that as an acceptance factor that most organizations will be able to run FlexApp One packages this way. And keep in mind, the number one thing that this does is keep your base image clean, because you immediately say, well, how is this different than installing apps? It is very different. Your base image stays clean. If you were to turn our filter driver off, everything disappears. Everything that looks like it's all over the hard drive to make Photoshop work is gone because it was never really there. So that's the FlexApp technology still at work. The way that you get this is a feature set of FlexApp. This is not a separate product. If you're already a FlexApp customer, you'll get access to this. If you want to only run it this way, you need to purchase FlexApp traditionally, right? And most people do that with ProfileUnity and the management consoles there. ProfileUnity and FlexApp will still be a main way of delivering FlexApps because there's advanced use cases, because it works with ProfileUnity, because it works with context-aware settings, because it's great for VDI always-on environments and things like that. But this gives you an alternative to be able to roll out FlexApps very easily without a heavy agent on the endpoint. Again, the big benefits: no tattooing of the base image, no Windows rot. You can do app distribution without reboots, turnkey packages with no ProfileUnity requirement. Maybe you don't need to run ProfileUnity on the whole thing, or maybe you want to get, maybe a pandemic started, right? And this is one of the things that causes innovation. I need to get these 5 apps to the field fast because my business is shut down. You can do that with FlexApp One. Easy to do, and works with all the cloud services, whether it's the more commercial side or the more end user side, and it works with any way you can get that package down to the endpoint. One requirement is that first package that runs, you do need to have admin privileges, because that's where the service is activated. It's buried in that executable. So the second package that runs, you no longer have to have admin rights. So if you can roll this out, with Microsoft technologies, there's ways to do that, elevate that process, and then after the fact, the user is off and running and they have that service on the machine. Even though it's included in the later bundles of the packages you give them, it's largely ignored because they have it and they can run it with standard user rights.
Yeah, if the user's already got, if he's already under management of Intune or SCCM, BigFix, LandDesk, any of that stuff, it's very easy to deploy FlexApp One with that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all wrapped up in that little package. Like we started developing this, they sent me an executable. Somebody sent me an executable and I called the guy, says, "What is this?" And he said, "Just run it." And my laptop has never had ProfileUnity on it. I run ProfileUnity as a VM. I clicked on it, ran it, and sure enough, some little game started running. It installed the driver and was up and running. 2 days ago, one of the SEs says, "Hey, I need Camtasia." Somebody packaged it into a FlexApp One, sent him a Dropbox link or a share file link, and he downloaded it and used Camtasia. And then the cool thing, when he was done, it dismounted, and he could have expired it as well. And it, basically his machine, his laptop was left clean. He didn't have Camtasia constantly doing updates in the background. It was detached from the box. It's really cool.
So I know our audience, we've got a few dozen people on this call today. I'm very pleased about. They're already thinking about ways that they could get these packages out. This is cool. Have you ever seen this from VMware in app volumes? No, good product, but it doesn't have the innovation like we've got here. Have you ever seen this from Citrix app for Citrix app layering? good product, if you have access to it, you're not going to get the innovation. We are innovating over here, and this is just one of the ways, two of the ways in the last 2 slides that we're doing that, and I've shared above and beyond. So this webinar serves to remind you why you chose us in the first place, and to remind you of the innovation that we're pouring into this market, while others are either ignoring it or say, well, what we've got is good enough. We don't need to do the innovation.
Most of my customers just say they just like to work with me. That's why they buy our products.
That's the other thing, is our people.
Yep.
I'll back you up on that. So many of our customers say your products are good, your people are even better.
Yeah. Yep. Saves my butt.
Right. So this is an example. You can roll this out with Intune. You point to the package, you assign it to the group you want, and it gets down to the endpoint. You can even have it show up in the new company store or company portal on Windows 10. And they can, it's a self-service store then. You've got the apps that they need when they open up that part of Windows 10, and Intune has put them in there, right? And then you just click on them if you want it as an end user, or you leave them just sitting in there. So it can be used for self-service ways as well. And this is an example of that, where this is, if you don't know what this is, right? You probably do. Company portal is an area that your organization might not be using, but it's easy to use. You can turn this on and you can start putting things in there that your people can self-service, basically. In this case, we put FlexApp Ones out there. If they wanted any of these example apps, all they do is launch them from here, and they're off and running. They're not really installed to the endpoint, but they work like they are. So that's the native way of that. There's not much interaction for the end user to do. There is a bit here in the system tray, and that's what I'm showing. Look down at system tray. These apps that are on top of each other are open in this intentional manner to show you how many are running in this environment. They're not really installed in this environment, but are FlexApp One packages. Now the user can stop these anytime, so there is a little interaction in there. Other than that, they work and they act like native apps. This is not a window in a window or something app published from somewhere else. It's a native app experience. And the type of apps you can roll out this way is 90% plus. Meanwhile, technologies like MSIX, good, but they're only at the 30 to 60% level. To get above the 30% level, even Tim Mangan and some of the experts in the field are saying, to get above the 30% level, you might have things that halfway work up to the 60% level. We work today, we've got innovation in here, we go above and beyond. We work with MSIX as well to turn those into Flex apps. So we're working with those technologies, but we far surpass them. Here's a look at the FlexApp packaging console. This was added in recent versions where you can convert to MSIX packages and convert app Vs into Flex apps, and then they have the benefits of being on the VHD or VHDX, and you can assign them. So I talked about FlexApp One. This goes back to more benefits in the packaging console that were added in late versions. And then here's some of those. I told you I was going to go back to the screenshots of the UI enhancements for ProfileUnity. In this case, we're editing a portability setting. And then you had filters assigned to it usually. So I can actually just click or look at this inspector area where it says show filter details, and it pops up that filter, and I can say, oh yeah, that's what that filter was. Before I had to go back, open up filters and look at it, and then go back, or open up 2 windows and then look at it. This makes the UI easier. And this is in a couple of areas. Rule sets also show up this way. So it's easier to navigate, easier to configure than it's ever been before. This is the guided setup where we have extra, we've updated these over time, supports the latest versions of the OS, and it supports, as I said, our profile disk, streamlining to roll it out if that's what you're doing in your environment. This is futures in the third quarter is planned. We always use the word planned because it's the software. We deliver it as soon as we can, but we want it to be quality. Those 2 major features I said are planned for next month, and that's what we still plan to target: FlexApp One and the automation. ProfileUnity and FlexApp 6.8.5. Let's talk about some of the things that you'll find in that. We'll go beyond the convert to AppV and MSIX with further enhancements to where the UI is built out further in those areas. We've got, I believe the way we handle that today is through some help desk files or for some support files to help do that. The FlexApp Packager API will be rolled out in that version, and that'll allow you to easily hook it in to different solutions. API is a big thing that sets Liquidware apart. We've got another robust one Chris will talk about later with Stratusphere. There's certain competitors that don't even have APIs, and it gives you great power that goes above and beyond. So pre-caching the block maps, predictive. We've done block caching, but this is predictive block caching that will speed things up for large applications like Epic and others. This will speed up the launch of those applications because we can do very large apps. Triggers will support compliance use cases in there. So for time of day and things like that, there'll be some extra options in there. The packager I spoke about earlier is starting to have rollbacks in it where it keeps the machines clean. And what it's doing is leveraging volume shadow copy service for Microsoft to do that. So to leverage that, setting up multiple packaging machines will sometimes get you even faster because one may be resetting. It takes a bit while you can use the other one. And that'll be also options in our packaging automation, as I mentioned. Automatically optimizing for the OS, optimizes the OS for packaging, and we've made that better over time. We had some tools that did that, and now we're optimizing it even further to speed up the process. Version control, new field has been added in there. You know, before with FlexApps, you had to, if you're updating an app and you didn't want to, take the first one out, you would name the second one a little different, maybe, but the date code you would append onto the name of the package, or number 1 or number 2. We've added a field, make that streamlined, so you can put versions in there and still have the main package name something similar or the same thing. Integration with Event Viewer for FlexApps, so you'll be able to do more troubleshooting if need be. Merging layers. Sometimes you've decided you wanted this layer for a department like accounting to have their apps, and you put multiple apps in one layer, or one VHD or VHDX is what that means. HR had their own, and maybe at some point you decide you want to consolidate those down. We've got options to be able to do that easier. And post login support is something that we've added. So now there's even more ways to layer than ever. We already did boot login time. Now we're doing post login. After login, let this run. And these are apps that you may not need up front, right? Most people are opening mail and things, so they silently come in the background. More apps can come in. Trigger points were already there, and click to layer was already there. So there's more flexibility. You won't see that in the competition. They give you like 2 ways to assign apps to desktops. We've got 5 or 6 that cover all major use cases, things that you probably haven't even thought about yet.
Jason, this is a really good list, but to me, you still leave off to the biggest features that my customers are asking for: cloaking and the universal folder redirection. I mean, that technology is just the ability to be able to cloak an app, whether it's in the base image or in the FlexApp. So Ray logs in. There's not PowerPoint, but Visio. Visio's there, but Ray's not licensed for it. Well, I can cloak it. He can't see it. Cloaking technology and our universal folder redirection are just massively being requested by our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope
good point.
Dropped off
and
your
I put
list.
it back in some of my other slides. Somehow I escaped this one. Both good points. Okay. Microsoft can do cloaking now too. I mean, that was part of the FS Logics thing. But the point is part of the ProfileUnity, and you get all the context-aware features and all that. Most people find our console is far easier to use, plus surpasses the need, the benefits in many other areas. So I know that's what some people were thinking. Mm-hmm. Oh, Ray, can I go to the next slide? For some reason my hover button's like disappeared.
Because I was getting ready to transition to Chris. Before we do that, the quick question came in on FlexApp One. And I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, but Tom asked, does FlexApp One have a web page or website that a user can go to and pick and choose which FlexApp package they want, like SCCM can?
Actually, when you're using Intune, the user just goes to their store. Like I can go on my machine to my store, and Adam Rue has posted 50 applications. So if you're managing it, FlexApp One is really a technology that packages. The delivery mechanism, SCCM, Intune, BigFix, whatever, would handle that delivery. Mm-hmm. So in our environment, all our machines are managed via Intune. So Adam just posted these applications. I go to the Liquidware store or type in store on my machine, go to the Liquidware section, and then there's all these applications that I can just click on, and they'll be delivered to my box. So it's not a delivery mechanism. Go ahead, Jason.
Yes. So the answer is yes. And that's the most exciting thing, is that we work natively with Intune and SCCM now. Anything you could do with that, you can do with us. So,
or just email it to them. Yeah, just email.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you could set up a HTML page or FTP site. It does just getting that package to the person any way possible. But the most exciting thing is it's fully compatible with just integration with SCCM and Intune, and we've not been before.
Yeah, the cool thing too there is use case. I've got a contractor coming on board. He's only going to be here for 6 months. I can expire that package. Or for the university, they can post them onto that website. And guess what? They expire at the end of the semester. So even though 10,000 students may have downloaded this application for this particular class, it's going to expire at the end of the semester. Really powerful.
How do you set that?
Just a little when you package it or turn a FlexApp into a FlexApp One, it's just one little parameter, and you give it a date. Give it a date when you want it to expire.
Yeah. So even I learned something about what we can do and what's new. I didn't even know we could do that. So I'm excited to put that in the press release.
Yep. Yeah, well, that feature actually just got integrated. I mean, they're wrapping up the final QA and documentation, but I think that just came out like last week or maybe the week before that they added the expiration. So for contractors, students.
Yeah, that's great.
The ability to expire a package.
That's great. So we're excited what's in ProfileUnity and FlexApp. Chris is going to share with you the updates that we've had in Stratusphere. Equally excited about a lot of things happening here.
Yep. So just a quick highlight, Stratusphere 615, very successful product. Back in June 2020 was when it was released. I bring up that because it's 2021 now. This was the first start of some of the work from home metrics around Wi-Fi statistics and things like that. And then we came up with the 650. There we go. And it came out in November. We changed out the base operating system. So just be aware, if you're still on 615, that OS is no longer supported by CentOS or Red Hat. You need to get to 6.5. We still have some customers out there. Please upgrade to 6.5. Contact your SEs, professional services, if you need help to move over there. More work from home metrics. In 2020, I was helping people left and right with Wi-Fi statistics. Now we've added in CPU temperature, so you can actually see the CPU temperature. We're finding people all over the place. Jason Smith takes his laptop upstairs, puts it on a pillow, and the darn thing goes into heat protection mode. Then he's calling support saying my machine's running slow. But it's running slow because the CPU is at 180 degrees. It's getting ready to melt down. And I actually had a customer yesterday said, yeah, we had that happen. One of our laptops, the BIOS was bad in it, and it actually caught on fire because the user had it sitting on top of a pillow. Do not do that. Very bad practice. But with Stratusphere 6.5 and 6.5.1 just released this month, some more security updates, DMZ enhancements. This helps me a lot because we're working a lot with iGel, Tenzig, Zerto, and the iGel machines and Tenzig and those things, they don't run across a VPN. So they couldn't get to Stratusphere. With the new DMZ updates that we've done in 6.5, now my Stratusphere system can better support iGel and the users that are not on the DMZ to get that certificate that I needed out there. So bringing a lot of the work from home devices into the environment. So Ray's sitting in his house with an iGel UD Pocket or a Tenzig or Zerto or maybe his laptop. What is his Wi-Fi distance? What frequency is he running? Is he changing between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz? New Lenovo OS support and extending our ServiceNow capabilities. We came out with a release in June with new ServiceNow capabilities. We're working on an upgraded version of that to take even more of the API from Stratusphere. So a lot going on with 6.5.0 and 6.5.1. Kind of been looking at the, what's the type data. So new slide showing machine inventory, performance, CPU temperature, battery life. What's my battery running like? Does it all of a sudden, users are complaining, my battery only lasts an hour. Guess what? I can prove it in Stratusphere. Going to be adding in there too, hopefully, battery charge cycles. How many charge cycles does that thing go through? Because that affects my warranty. So a lot of great metrics, end-to-end metrics. As one of our account managers like to say, all users, all machines, all applications, all the time. It's one of the big difference between us and some of our competitors, so we have that complete view of the environment. The API builder got upgraded in 6.5.0 and then again in 6.5.1. We have over 300 static reports in Stratusphere, and you can always export data directly from the interface. But as we look at integration, and Jason touched on this earlier, and very powerful, rich API, comma delimited or JSON format. So people are plugging us up to Splunk, Power BI, Tableau, ServiceNow, Autodesk. I mean, basically with our API, it's unlimited because they need that data in other formats for business intelligence, or maybe, hey, just this business unit needs to know if their users are logged in and working. You know, so very rich API capabilities to be able to give you that data on the fly in any format. Process resource. This is a big one in 6.5.0. In login breakdown, we're actually showing you what the CPU load looks like inside the machine. So before I could see the processes running during the login time, you know, what got executed, when was it executed, what was the command line option. Now I can see the actual CPU load at that point in time. So we were working with a customer, me and our professional services guy, Greg, was working with a customer the other day, and he was complaining about ProfileUnity. ProfileUnity is running slow, it's running slow. Drilled in his login breakdown and said, look, you're at 87% CPU utilization when ProfileUnity kicks off. Your login process, your GPOs and other things that are running on this machine, so ProfileUnity only has, you know, a few more % of CPU to run because it's all, the machine is at 87% of CPU when ProfileUnity kicks off. Sorry, not us. Whatever, and we were able to show him the processes prior to that machine and help him optimize his image a little bit. Here's things you need to look at and hopefully optimize this so that ProfileUnity does have room to run. If the CPU is at 100%, you know, sorry, can't help you. Or we can, and we did. Work from home metrics, external IP address. People are using this and taking that data from Stratusphere, and like Mark Jones, my sales guy in Florida, taking that IP address out of Stratusphere, plugging it into Power BI, and turning that into a geo map. I can see Mark Jones in this county in Florida, and then it does a reverse DNS lookup. Stratusphere does that, by the way, and sure enough, it says Comcast Business. So not only does it tell me where he's at, we do not have a geo map in Stratusphere yet. Ask me later this year, may have a different answer for you. But taking that external IP address and doing geo maps for where people are, and they're also, what is their provider? Latency test, IP names of getting that critical information from the field, Wi-Fi name, access point, the BSID. Worked with a large customer in the Northeast. CTO was just livid. It's the VPN. The VPN's having problems. We got to, get all the VPN people on the phone. Couldn't figure out what was wrong. Dropped an agent on his machine. Sure enough, he had a mesh network at his house. He was flipping from 2.4 to 5 gigahertz back and forth, walking around his house with his laptop, multiple access points. And at the end of the day, when we locked him down to 2.4 gigahertz and bought him another access point to cover that area where he was too far away from that access point, sure enough, the VPN problem went away. It wasn't the VPN. Traceroute allows me to trace route to, critical services. So I'm running, Epic. I'm in an EMR, so I need to see how so from my machine to the Epic system or to my machine to the SQL server. So trace route throughout the infrastructure. This is one of those things customer asks me all the time, hey, I know you see the latency. Where's the latency coming from? Click a button in Stratusphere because you don't want this running all the time. Click a button in Stratusphere, turn on trace route. I can take that data to the networking team and say, look, this route right here, this hop is normally 10 milliseconds until 10 a.m. when it goes to 80 milliseconds. Hard proof. More machine health security information. In 6.5.1, we even added a security profile or ranking. A security ranking. Is the machine encrypted? Secure boot. A lot of other parameters go into actually ranking them and giving you a view, not a full security audit, just kind of a security check. What is this machine and how is it ranked in my security environment? All right, next slide, if it'll go, there we go. Logged in, I talked about this earlier, advanced in the battery section. So just kind of where to navigate to find it. Domain overview, this is one of the coolest views. I love this new and come in 6.5. Grayed out part on the left-hand side. These are my domain controllers. So use this a lot in customer instead of the normal view where I would see, here's a list of logins. This is a list of my DCs. How many people hit the domain controllers? I've used this several times in a lot of customers to make sure that they would load it properly across the domain controllers. Is everybody hitting a domain controller in Canada when they're all in New York? So new view came out in 6.5. Basically you can click the inspector, go to summary, and then under DC overview, just by clicking the view right there, and you'll be able to see a list of all the domain controllers that have been hit in your environment. Wi-Fi statistics, again, 2.45 gigahertz, switching back and forth really hurts the machine. If you're doing Teams conversations and you're switching between 2.4 and 5 gigahertz all the time, you're going to have an issue. And this can prove it. Traceroute, talked about this. Process optimization, okay? In the interface, we now have had this in 6.5.0, in the interface, now showing what Process Optimizer is actually doing. How many processes it optimized on environment. Cool thing, over the past couple months, I've used Process Optimizer in Stratusphere. It's a checkbox. You turn it on to fix Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is, because it's doing an audio call and a video call, is very sensitive to CPU lag. So if the CPU is overloaded, if you look at Teams network latency, it actually shows up as latency. If you turn on Optimizer, Teams is now above normal, and they can process those packets faster. So when I look at a customer and they're running Teams and I see a lot of Teams latency, I say, let's turn on Optimizer. Sure enough, the network latency drops because the machine now has the CPU cycles to process that. The weirdest thing in the world. But yeah, all of a sudden Teams just got cleaned up because the machine has time to process the network packets, and it actually manifests itself and looks like network latency. So guys, try out that Process Optimizer. It's been around for over 2.5 years now. Great technology for extending the life of the machine and fixing those bad actors applications in your environment. ServiceNow, very dear and dear to my heart. Talking to a lot of customers around this. We've actually had some customers tell us, we were talking to the VDI team. VDI team says, yeah, I like Stratusphere, going to get it in here in 6 months. We show it to the ServiceNow guys, and the ServiceNow guys are saying, hold up, I need this data in ServiceNow. My ServiceNow teams are actually funding half or all the project for these integrations because Stratusphere has such rich data. Last time the machine was booted, the Wi-Fi statistics, CPU temperature, are the Windows updates being applied? SCCM has some of that, but it's only updated once a week. Stratusphere data is updated every hour. So ServiceNow ticket integration with Stratusphere data, the ServiceNow teams are actually funding the purchase of Stratusphere because they can cut off other connection points. I don't need 6 connection points now. Stratusphere, I can cut it down to 3 and save me money on ServiceNow. It's a very powerful story together. Power BI. There's a Power BI templates on our community site. Please check out the community site. The Power BI we're doing a huge amount with because everybody wants the data in their field. So Jason likes pie charts. I like bar charts. Ray's more of a graph guy. So in Power BI, you can pretty much have it in any format, desktop version or cloud version, and get that executive, that really pretty view of Stratusphere data. Is Jason Smith actually working right now, or is he watching a YouTube video? That's what our owner wants to know, is Jason Smith actually doing his job? So we're all on a video today, and sure enough, Jason's working. And I think that is the end.
Well, you want to show the community site that you actually have helped orchestrate. is just, I think a lot of customers really haven't taken advantage of it yet. There's a wealth of knowledge out there. Would you want to show some of that? Let me talk about our support real quick. We've extended our options for support in the most recent year. This slide, it was in the last deck 6 months ago too, but know that we've extended the business hours in EMEA, and we've extended basic support options for all customers as we've grown. 24/7 support options continue to remain available. Those are premium opportunities that if you don't have those and you need those, you can negotiate those into your renewal, or you can talk to your rep now about that. And our resolution rate remains very high. So if you have reached out to our support, the chances are really good, 99 times out of 100, that you would have rated us at 99% or better. The support staff has also been increased in the last 18 months or so, and across the board. So we're very happy about that, and the increasing staff members have helped us with the additional hours too. And these are real quotes that are on this page from customers. And we just, like I said about our people earlier on, Chris helps out on the product marketing side, but he's in the field all the time. And if you work with Chris, you're getting something above and beyond our products. You're getting expertise, and that's what you get out of our support. I would dare you to look at any of our competitors in the monitoring space and compare them to what you get from us. And the same goes for UEM. The innovation there and our people are unmatched. I think you would agree. And if you don't, let me know that too. Email me, jason.smith@Liquidware, if you don't agree with that. So Chris, sharing a screen, show us around the community site real quick, because a lot of this is new.
Yeah, so the community site's been online for, about a year and a half now. Got a lot of good questions. This is how we actually take in questions about our products, like Stratusphere, feature request. ProfileUnity, we're going to be posting more information up here now about the automation technology, scripts, workbooks. So like under FlexApp, there was, we had a lot of cookbooks. So, here, how do you package this particular application? As our technology got better, we found that we actually had to start deleting those cookbooks because it just worked, because our technology got better and better. The developers would see what Jack Smith was having to do to make this application package and what he wrote up on our website, and the developers would go figure out, hey, why is this doing that? They would improve the product, and we actually had to go through and remove some of our cookbooks because they were no longer necessary. Same thing, Stratusphere on the diagnostic side. So I do a lot in here. Jack and the other SEs do more in the ProfileUnity or FlexApp, but this has my general questions with my cheat sheets, advanced inspectors, dashboards. There was a question earlier on the discussion side about from our demo system, getting some more of our dashboards up here. Somebody posting some more dashboards, API access. One of the big questions I have is people ask me, after I do a session, hey, how did you get to that login breakdown detail? So back, January of 2020, I built an animated GIF just so people could navigate back to the login breakdown details, and I just posted it on the community site. There's a lot of great data up here. One of the things I would want to point out, iGel. We do a lot with iGel, Tenzig, Zerto, those guys. We've created, one of our Power BI guys, a guy named Thomas, has created a Power BI iGel compatibility report. So this can pull in Stratusphere. This is a Power BI template that you can download, point at your Stratusphere system, and it'll give you a really nice report about what machines may be in. Stop showing screen.
Compatible with the ideal OS. That one.
Yep. What machines may be compatible in your system? Yep.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah, that community site it's people that do go into it, and they find great value in it. But right now it's underutilized by our customer base, and we'd love for you to see it so you know that you've got a ton of resources, not just the support number, but networking and questions, and well, there's a general comment area in there too, even. So
yeah, check out the community site. Also, we don't tell enough people about it. Training.liquidware.com. There's a lot of good videos up there on how to do certain things.
Exactly. And we've got customized training available if you need that. We've got a gentleman that heads up that program, Joseph On. He can even do a customized training for you. And sure enough, soon, if you want him to come on site, come back on site, if not already, if that's in agreement with you. So, you know, if you haven't tried our whole suite, you can get free licenses at any time, right? And you can, if you don't remember that URL right there, you can find it easy enough on our website and by Google when you go to download. The license keys always include a couple weeks to play with it if you download, and you could playing with stuff within the hour. So if you're using one of our products and want to try the others, you can do that without even having to, you know, go through some long call with our salespeople. We're never in favor of that. Let you kick the tires. We want you to be off and running, and we're there if you need us, is my point. And know that you can get those. I think we've covered that, and I believe this wraps up the next slide, don't we, Ray? We can entertain questions.
Really just go to questions, and there is one question that I see in here, and Tom asked, how well does FlexApp One work in a multi-user session environment?
At the end of the day, the application is just attached. So if the applications supports multi-user, and one of the ways that you install the FlexApp is in Intune, you tell it the system, which makes it available for all users. So when I attach that application, if the application is multi-user capable, then it's just fine. I mean, Citrix XenApp, VDAs, what's the Amazon AppStream was a very good example. You know, don't want to reboot my AppStream or recompose my AppStream pools, or but yeah, multi-user, it's really up to the app.
Yeah, this doesn't change the rules.
Going to mount it.
We still support session isolation where user A doesn't narrowly see what B has access to in a multi-session environment. So FlexApp One, there's a way to apply that as well. Good question.
Yep.
Well, that covers all of our questions that we have right now. If there's any remaining questions, feel free to reach out to us. I know Jason gave us his email address at one point in time. You can always hit us up at sales@liquidware.com, and we all get those. It's a general box, so we all get those and can find those answers. And great. Oh, you know, one more just snuck in, so we'll try to cover it. Said, sorry, I'm late to the party. Is cloaking going to be a feature soon? And we talked about this a little bit. So
it should be in our next release of ProfileUnity and FlexApp. That doesn't count the one-off that we're doing. So 6.8 to 5, and that is currently scheduled for the third quarter.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you guys. That was a great session. I love the format and all the great information. I know I learned a few new things, and I think even Jason learned a few new things in today's session, which is great. So thank you, everyone. Just a reminder, we did record this session, so we'll be sending out a link to the recording to everyone who registered and attended. So watch your inbox for that, and have a great day.
Yeah, I hope to see you soon. Well, next time we'll be in public, we'll be at HIMSS in the iGel booth. Hopefully we'll be able to do trade shows again soon. Yep. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.